Welcome. You have reached review time with Imperial, and today's review will be from season 1, episodes 6 through 10. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let's get into it. As I stated before, I'm on to the From series a little late, and I made a mistake on the first recap from episodes 1 to 5, and I stated that it was on MGM Plus. It's on Epix, but Epix used to be MGM Plus, so now it's Epix, and so that's minor. But just to clarify, if you weren't looking for it, look for it on Epix, and it's just exactly what I stated. Like making it through episodes 6 through 10, it's really much of a difference from what I stated of Wayward Pines. It's just a different variation of it, but the plot still the same. So from 6 to 10, what took place at the end of episode 5, you had Sarah who went to try to kill Ethan, which again is the son of Tabitha and Jim, and the little brother Julie. She went to kill Ethan. In the process of that, she locked Tabitha in the barn and went to kill him. And then Nathan came to stop her, which is her brother, when he grabbed her so that and Ethan kicked her. Ethan ran off. In a struggle between Nathan and Sarah, she pushed off him and then just swung her hand with the knife or the scalpel or whatever and slit his throat. She stood there. The priest arrived, and it just went off from there. Then when it came, the priest act like he was running after her. Well, you find out that the priest actually found her and harbored her in his basement or whatever, so that he can try to cleanse her soul. So that's what you go on with. What eventually takes place is that the priest reaches out to Boyd. Of course, Boyd is the sheriff of the town, and tells him, he does his own confession to Boyd, tells him what he did when he arrived, and that's what he opened up. Boyd was like, "What you telling me this for?" And so he proceeded to tell he had Sarah in his basement, and why he's kept Sarah, because he believes she has the answers for them, because she's connected to the people of the that used to be in that town. Here's the whispers. She has the answers to help them leave. So meanwhile this is happening, you also have the colonial people. Now, of course, the colonial people all live in the house. Today is an event of celebrating somebody's like anniversary of the time that they've been at this town. So during this time, you have Ellis. Again, Ellis is the son of Boyd. He doesn't like these moments because it's a reminder that he lost his mom. So nevertheless, his girlfriend is there, and she's being celebrated. So everybody, this is their time to drink. But what you see, there is a member of the group named Kevin, who's pretty much lonely. And by the way, Ellis' girlfriend name is Fatima. But let's go back to the dude Kevin. He's a member of the Colonia in the house. He's a lonely guy. And at night, he goes to a window in his room and goes in the bathroom and talks to a girl. And leaves her flowers every night, and she comes up with the flowers. And this one night, she told him, she came one night and then said to him, "When you gonna let me in?" He pretty much said, "I can't do that." So this time she stated, "I'm not coming no more." And he was like, "Why? I need you. You're the only person I could talk to." She said, "Because you don't trust me." And so, of course, he gave in, and she said he told her to promise that it'll just be her that comes in and her only. Of course, he let her in, and she just came in by herself. And she said, "Close the door, close the window." He closed the window, and so that gave him his reassurance, and he just went at her and started kissing her aggressively, and she just turned into the monster, bit his tongue off, and killed him. And cleaned herself up, and then opened the window for the rest of the monsters to come through the window. And before you know it, the monsters went savage, killing I think about 11 to 14 people in the house. Now in this process, you had Julie was there, and Julie came on to Fatima because Fatima was telling her experiences, saying that she'd been with a girl, kissed a girl, and so Julie's young and impressionable, and took Fatima's kindness as she wanted to be the girl that Fatima kissed. So Fatima was like, no, basically she's into Ellis or whatever. And so from there, you had Julie storm off. She went all the way up to the attic where, what's the guy's name? The weird guy. Oh, Victor. Where Victor sleeps. Now when she get up there, Victor's packing up. And she like, well, where are you going? And Victor pretty much said nothing. And she's looking at his stuff. And so Ellis in the house, he was drinking too much, and Gary fights somebody, so they sent Ellis upstairs in his room. So when the chaos happened and the monsters in the house killing people, everybody was running out the house, and it was a moment Fatima got out. Fatima was telling Donna, hey, Donna was ready to go back in the house, but she told Donna, you gotta follow protocol. You gotta, lead these people. So Donna told people, stay with your partner, your buddy, load up in the car, and head down to the town. So Fatima went back in to try to get Ellis. Now, when Ellis comes out, he sees the blood everywhere and goes into a room thinking that it's Fatima, but Fatima had let one of the girls, Trudy, wear her jacket or her coat or her sweater, and she thought it was, he thought it was her. And when he went in there, it was the monsters. The monsters just killed Trudy, and he felt that wasn't his girl. So nevertheless, he made it out he jumped from the two-story of the house, and Fatima came. And so they headed back in the house, and then Fatima said, I got an idea. So between the outside of the porch and walking into the house, there's a little, like an inside porch area. So she closed the door from the house and closed the door to the porch. And the emblem rock thing that they said keeps them away secured that little inside location right there. And Ellis pretty much said to Fatima, how did you know that was going to work? She said, I didn't. And so they end up resting there for the remainder of the night. So back to Donna, let me go there next. So you had Julie and Victor. So Victor already had a rope ready outside in his room. He already had a rope ready that for something like this to happen. He secured the rope, told Julie to go down. She went down. He came down after her. So when he got outside in the woods, they was Gary running town, but Victor was like, he seen the kid that they kept seeing in the all white. And you find out later that this kid has been there the whole time to help them, or whatever. So you go, I guess later in season 2, you'll find out the backstory of this kid in the all white. But you find out this kid is there to help. He's not there to hurt, or he's manipulating like he helping. But right now he's helping. So Victor sees the kid, that triggers him to go into the woods. Now, Victor goes to one of those trees, what they call a faraway tree. And so you it's like a portal. Dip into the tree, you end up somewhere. So Victor tells Julie, go in here and pretty much you'll be fine. Make sure you tell your brother about what happened. And Julie goes in. She ends up in that cupboard, that underground like trapdoor area where Jade was, where he went in early in between episodes 1 and 5, where he found that area or whatever. So she ends up there, makes it back home to her family. Meanwhile, you had Victor. You don't see him again to the last episode, the very end. So back to Donna with the jumping in the van, dipping down the town. So she's bumping the horn, alerting everybody she's coming through. So they go to the post office, which is the / sheriff's office, and gets out, tells everybody what happened. And right when they get the last people in, of course Boyd is saying, where's Ellis? They like, we don't know. So he's kind of worried. And when that takes place, the priest comes out. Somebody grabs the priest, he turns around, they slit his throat. So they pull Boyd's shot, like the monster thing, and the priest, of course, just dies. And the priest basically told Boyd to pray with him. So the priest dies out. So, of course, at this moment, Boyd already knows Sarah is still back at the basement. In the basement, rather. And so Sarah is remorseful because Boyd does go approach her and be like, where's the priest? And he pretty much tells him that he was killed and tells her that, hey, we gotta go finish the mission if you really want to help. And basically tells her, if you try anything, I'm gonna kill you. So what's leading up to this, you got Jade. Of course, he was the rich guy who was one of the people on the road with the Matthews family in the other car. But he used to be, he's like a creator. So he's thinking out of the box, hey, let's get this big tower on top of the colonial house. And we get this big tower on the colonial house, we can transmit and get a hold of somebody. And so in the process of that, they gotta feel, they do all this, the next couple episodes, figuring out how to create the power source. Where does the power come from? They figure out that the power source inside the lamps, they can connect the lamps that'll charge the batteries that'll power this tower on, so that they can get a signal. So that's what happens the next couple episodes. You also hear you see the backstory of Boyd, his son Ellis, and his wife, how the wife died. And what happened as soon as the wife got into town, she had PTSD and she wasn't right. And she starts seeing like what she was doing, it wasn't a reality. She was looking real weird. But Boyd was busy putting the town together, giving the town structure. He wasn't paying attention to his wife. So Ellis was trying to tell his dad, like, hey, listen, you need to really slow down, do what you need to do with mom, because she's not right, she off. He pretty much was like, I gotta handle some business, but I get to it. But it was too late because the mom was out of sight, out of mind. She had PTSD, thinking she was in a war, but she said it wasn't really real, and she just was shooting innocent people in the town. And so Boyd came right in while she was shooting everybody, and he was telling her, hey, stop, what are you doing, stop. And she was like, this is not real, or whatever. So the son Ellis, like, mom, he started to run up, and she pulled the gun on Ellis, so Boyd had no choice but to shoot her. So Ellis held him responsible for that. He thought that because he neglected the mom suffered, and that's why he was angry at Boyd the whole season. And so what eventually happens, Fatima reminds him that wasn't your dad's fault. Just imagine the burden your dad had to carry all this time. You need to release your dad from that. Let him know that it wasn't his fault, and let bygones be bygones. So Boyd pretty much said, listen, I'm gonna go find us a way out of here. He prepped Kenny up to let Kenny know, listen, you the deputy, you gotta step in. You need to start taking over so the people will see you as a leader. I'm going out in the forest. I'm gonna keep going till I find us a resolution. Not knowing that he going with Sarah. So when he's on his way out, Ellis follows him pretty much to make peace, and he sees him with Sarah. And so after he sees him with Sarah, Boyd told him, don't tell the group I basically got to do this with her because son, she could help, and just told him trust me. And so they head out in the forest. So of course the rest of the town is getting ready with this tower to get this signal in. Then you have Tabitha Matthews, which is the mom of the Matthews family. She is in the basement of their home trying to figure out where the cords for the electrical wire, where they run to. So she's like become obsessed with digging and digging and digging. She digs this big hole and finally comes to the bottom. And but she's so obsessed that she doesn't stop. So I'll come back to that. Now you go to am I catching everybody's story? So you got Kenny and Christy. She's the nurse of the town. You had her and Kenny are fond of each other, but Christy was engaged to somebody before she came into the town. Kenny likes her. She likes Kenny. He comes on tour, but she pretty much tells him like I'm engaged, but she really likes him and she confused. She don't know what to do. So that's their storyline. You got Donna, who's losing people, and she's bothered by that. It just tells some backstory of the times when they first arrived to the town. Kenny's mom, of course, she takes on Jade, and Jade, he starts seeing visions and starts seeing the sign, start drawing the sign, and she finds a book that pretty much somebody else was drawing those same signs, trying to correlate the connection right there. So I'm make sure I'm going down the list of people that pretty much had their storyline, and that's it. So now we go back to Boyd and Sarah not far. So one of the nights, they camp out and pits the emblem stone thing that blocks the monsters away. But this time, whatever snatched their tent, it was something else. So Sarah was getting these visions. She had a moment where she went into convulsion and she had a seizure, and Boyd, when she woke up, she was in a tent and they was hiding out, and she pretty much was like, she was told by a voice they shouldn't have come this far, they need to go back, it's more things out here than just the monsters. So she named a name. The voice was different this time. It was a woman, and she said a specific name. That name was what Boyd was called in the military. And only two people could have said that, either Ellis or his wife. So that was his wife talking to her. So now Boyd was off, and then Sarah was asking him, who is such and such? And he's like, that's me. So she was like, we need to go back to town. But Boyd is pretty much said, where are we going to go back to town at? Because how do we even get back to town? So we need to keep pushing forward. So Boyd ended up, it was like a bunch of they ended this area where it was spider webs. And so Boyd went deep into the spider webs, and Sarah kind of stayed back. In the process, when he went deep, he was hearing the voice of his wife, and it ended up being a monster version of his wife that grabbed him at first, but it was spiders. So he ended up getting 2 spider bites. Now, whether the spider bites like made him, the venom is started taking over, but he ended up becoming what I want to say. He started getting dizzy, tired, and start kind of, I want to say hallucinating, but he didn't have the will to push. So Sarah had to step in and pretty much like no, you have you could do it. We're gonna keep pushing forward. And what they also seen that it was a light, a big light when they was in the tent that night. And so when they finally make it to a certain point in the tower, I mean up on the hill where they was at in the forest, they seen that it was a tower, a watchtower with lights that circle around. So now Boyd is Gary give up, but Sarah was like, no, you got to keep going. So she took the tent bag off of him, and at this point, the little kid in the all white shows up, and he's pointing to them to tell them that they need to go in the tree. He's trying to help them, and so Sarah sees that, tells them we need to go in the tree. So she sends him in there first, and told him I'm right behind you, and he goes into, of course, we know that the away tree is a portal, but he ends up in somewhere like some chimney somewhere where he ends up. Doesn't really say where Sarah ends up because the episode ends. Meanwhile, so you got the people back at the colonial house that got the tower, and when it finally got up and they got some traffic, a storm is coming. And so they like, we gotta hurry up and get do this another day or do this tomorrow, because what's gonna happen is it's gonna tear all this down and all this hard work we just did. So at that point, Tabitha kissed Jim and pretty much like, I'm proud of you, but I gotta go handle something. He like, what are you talking about? She like, plan B. So plan B is her obsession to get through this floor and the basement. So while she's going to do that, Jim finally makes connection to somebody. And when he makes connection, he talks to him, say, who's this and where are you? And the person pretty much said Jim, and he's like, Jim, and he knows my name and everything? He said, yeah. It was like, your wife should have left that floor alone, that basement floor alone. And now that triggered him to run to go stop his wife. But while he's doing that, the basement floor kicks in, and she ends up below where the wires go to. You find out the wires ain't connected to nothing. It's running, the energy that's running off the force field. You kind of felt that was the reason, because that the electricity was just running. The force was so strong that it's powering on the lights and everything. So when she's down there, Victor shows up. And Victor shows up pretty much telling her, hey, we need to get out of here. This floor is great, cave in, and this is the sleeping lair of the monsters. So it goes back to a couple episodes back in episodes 1 through 5 when Jade, when he was down in the cupboard, when he went in the cupboard, he seen something that was stuck in the wall that screamed at him, and that was their sleeping temple he had seen. And so Victor was just showing them all the pictures and stuff that was down there, and saying that we got to get out of here. And so he grabbed Tabitha, and she followed Victor out, and that's pretty much the end of the season 1 of From. So let's just go here and just say, decent enough to watch, right? Decent enough to watch, especially if you've never seen Wayward Pines. You're gonna be interested. If you get through the whole season, you're gonna be interested to see what happens in season 2, because it's a lot plot holes, and you want to find out certain things. So you'll be intrigued to see what happens in season 2 if you're into this type of show, movies, and stuff like that. But for me, they need to show. I'm gonna follow it through because I already seen season 1, and I gotta see season 2. And it's only one episode so far of season 2, so I'll be doing the weekly episodes as they premiere going forward. But I'm seeing no different from Wayward Prime, just a different variation. The storylines is the same, everything. Only thing difference is just you found different people. If this whole thing was called Wayward Pines, the new generation, it would be that. It would just be town out of nowhere, and just it's Wayward Pines with different people. So of course they're gonna have different storylines, how they all arrived there, and different stuff is happening in the town. But the monsters and in a small town, and same thing as Wayward Pines. So they weren't real creative with this storyline, but Wayward Pines didn't take off like that back in the day. So a lot of people never seen it. So they watching from and thinking, oh, this is from is awesome. Like, but if you've seen Wayward Pines, you'd be like, ah, man, this is already done before, you know. And so you could say, well, remakes happen all the time. That's true too. So, but it's don't mean that this one is better than Wayward Pines either. So, but shout out to Harold Perennial. He's doing a great job with his acting. Like, he's really performing, and kudos to him with his acting, and from he's really pitting on. I'm pretty sure from this movie, it'll open up some doors for him to get more roles. So subscribe to the channel. Be looking forward to my weekly reviews, recaps of season 2 of From. It's already one episode out there, so I'll be doing that one shortly. Till next time.